Discover the heartwarming moment when my mom uncovered an incredible truth about family unity. Emma sat in the dim light of her grandmother's attic, a place filled with forgotten memories and dust bunny secrets. Her heart raced as she sifted through old boxes, driven by the urgent need to find something, anything, to brighten her ailing mother's spirits. With the weight of the world on her shoulders, 2 jobs, 2 kids, and an unyielding economic storm, she felt like a tightrope walker, precariously balancing on the brink of despair. 5-year-old Ben's laughter echoed from downstairs, while Sarah, only 7, tried her best to tend to her little brother. They were her motivation, her everything. As she pulled out an old trunk marked with her grandmother's initials, Emma felt a flutter of hope. Perhaps she would find a letter, a photograph, something to remind her mother of happier moments. But as she opened the trunk, a stack of faded letters caught her eye. She could hardly breathe as she flipped through them, her fingers trembling. The words kinship, sacrifice, and resilience jumped out, igniting a fire within her. Each letter wove tales of the women before her, unyielding grandmothers, aunts, mothers, each facing trials of their own in this small Midwestern town where gossip flowed as freely as the river. Emma read of love lost and battles fought, of making ends meet through sheer determination. Tears blurred her vision as she connected their struggles with her own, her heart swelling with newfound strength. The weight she carried lightened just a bit when she realized she wasn't alone. She belonged to a legacy. Before we continue, I need to let you know about something important that's happening. YouTube has been making changes to the system, and many people are losing notifications from channels they follow. If you're enjoying the content, hit that bell and mark all notifications so you don't miss the next videos. And if you can drop a like, it really helps me with reach. Seriously, it makes a difference. Oh, let me know in the comments where you're watching from. I'm always curious to know who's on the other side of the screen. Now let's continue. Just as Emma sorted through the emotions, a heavy weight pulled at her heart. A call from her estranged brother, Jason, broke through her fleeting moment of peace. Jason, with his checkered past and reputation as the family's black sheep, had long been an unresolved chapter in her life. The whispers in their close-knit town echoed in her mind, and this call sent a shiver down her spine. Could she really open her door to him, risking the delicate balance she had fought so hard to maintain? Family reunions turned confrontational, love entangled with resentment simmering just below the surface. Emma watched her brother's frozen expression as tensions rose, secrets and frustrations spilling out in a torrent. Heart pounding, she realized this gathering was not a reunion. It was a reckoning. Under the weight of unasked questions and unspoken truths, the attic's letters led her to understand what family truly meant. But just as she gathered the courage to reach out, a revelation from the letters crashed over her. Shadows of the past loomed large. Would this knowledge bring them closer, or drive a wedge between them forever? As her children peered up at her with wide, innocent eyes, she felt the winds of change stirring. Emma stood at an emotional crossroads, ready to untangle the threads of their lives. What would she weave together in the tapestry of family love, judgment, or forgiveness? The answers lay just within reach. Emma's thoughts raced as she stared at the phone, contemplating whether to answer. The past echoed in her mind, every painful memory circling like a hawk ready to dive. With a trembling finger, she hit the green button, and Jason's gravelly voice flooded the silence of the attic. "Emma, it's me." His tone was tentative, unfamiliar yet achingly familiar. "Hi." The word felt so small amid the weight of everything unsaid. "I didn't expect to hear from you, I know. I've been." He paused, and Emma could hear the crackle of static between them. She felt a sudden surge of anger. Why did he have to call now, when she was already carrying so much? "Jason," she interjected, "why now? I messed up, again. But I've been thinking a lot. I hear Mom's not well." The worry in his voice was sincere. It cracked the shell of resentment she'd built around her heart. Just a little. She needs all the support she can get. Emma glanced down at the letters, their stories wrapping around her like warm cloth. Why was she suddenly feeling compassion for him? "But you've hurt her so many times before." There was a heavy pause, and Emma could sense Jason's struggle. "I hate what I've done," he finally said, almost a whisper. "I just want to make things right." His honesty caught her off guard. They had been raised to believe in family bonds, yet their reality felt like a series of broken roads. She remembered her grandmother's letters, filled with struggles but also hope. Did they not deserve that too? "Emma?" Jason's voice nudged her back to the moment. "Can I come see you? I want to talk. Can we start over?" Emma hesitated. The attic's warmth surrounded her, and the letters whispered the power of resilience. For the first time in years, the idea of reconciliation seemed possible. What would it mean to open the door to him again? She understood now. The threads of their family were frayed but not entirely torn. "I don't know," she finally whispered. "It won't be easy. You can't just walk back into our lives, I know," he cut in, voice raw. "But family matters, doesn't it? I want to prove I can be better for you and Mom. Just for a chance." The clock ticked loudly, marking the silence that hung in the air like a heavy fog. Emma's mind swirled with doubts but also with the flicker of hope ignited by the legacy of women in her family who had fought through hardships, one step at a time. In that moment, Sarah called from downstairs, a sweet reminder of what truly mattered. "Mom, can we have ice cream?" A smile crept onto Emma's face, fueled by her children's innocence and joy. "Okay," she said quietly, a decision forming. "We'll talk. You can come tomorrow. But you need to be honest, Jason. This has to change now." "I promise," he replied, the relief in his voice palpable even through the phone as she hung up. A cascade of emotions washed over her: fear, hope, anger, all swirling together like a storm waiting to break. She felt lighter yet heavier, as if she had opened a door to something she could no longer control. What would they uncover together on this path toward healing? The attic felt different now, more like a starting point than a graveyard of buried secrets. As she stared at the letters again, the journey ahead both terrified and excited her. Just then, Ben bounded up the attic stairs, his little feet pattering like a heartbeat. "Mom, can you help me color? I need you." In that moment, Emma understood clarity, a life built on trust, both broken and whole. She took a deep breath, knowing tomorrow would be a reckoning but also a revelation. Seated cross-legged on the attic floor, Ben's laughter echoing in her ears, Emma felt the urge to dig deeper into her family's story. What more would the letters reveal about her mother's past? And how could they guide her now? The answers waited, just beyond the next page. The morning sun streamed through the dusty attic window, casting a warm glow on the scattered letters. Emma sat cross-legged. Ben sprawled beside her with crayons clutched in his tiny hands. His focus was intense, oblivious to the emotional storm brewing in her heart. She watched him, the innocence painted across his face, and felt a pang of hope. "Look, Mom!" Ben exclaimed, holding up a crayon-drawn dinosaur. The creature was a wild mix of colors, and Emma couldn't help but smile. Underneath all the uncertainty, moments like this still existed, vibrant, filled with life. "Wow!" she praised. "That's the biggest dinosaur I've ever seen." A soft laugh echoed from the hallway, and Sarah peeked in, her curly hair bouncing as she poked her head around the door. "Can I color too?" she asked, instantly brightening the mood, her wide eyes shining with excitement. "Absolutely." Emma gestured to the markers. No sooner had Sarah entered than she flopped down next to Ben. Their laughter intertwined as they began to create a world of colors right there on the attic floor. Yet, beneath the laughter, Emma felt the weight of Jason's impending visit pressing down on her. She snuck a glance at the letters, those silent witnesses to her family's struggles, the truths they held just waiting to be unearthed. "Mom?" Sarah's voice interrupted her thoughts. "Are we having ice cream later?" "Of course, sweetie," she replied, her voice steady despite the little tremor in her heart. The day moved on, filled with small moments, the comfort of yellow balloons bobbing in the afternoon breeze, the smell of fresh-cut grass wafting through the cracked window. But as evening approached, a tension knotted in Emma's stomach. It was time, the moment she had both dreaded and somehow longed for. At exactly 6 o'clock, the doorbell echoed through the house, and Emma's heart leapt into her throat. "It's him!" she thought, her palms suddenly clammy. Ben and Sarah looked up, their little faces filled with curiosity. Are we going to say hi to Uncle Jason? Sarah asked innocently, not fully grasping the complexities of their family dynamics. Emma swallowed hard, brushing her fingers over the letters once more as if seeking strength from their faded ink. Yes, but remember, it might be a little bit awkward at first. Just be yourselves. For a moment, her children nodded, but she could tell they didn't fully understand. She felt the chill of uncertainty creeping back in, wondering if this truly would be a meaningful reunion or simply another false dawn. Taking a deep breath, Emma opened the door. Jason stood there, his face slightly weathered but familiar. She could see the weight of regret etched in his features. "Hey, Em," he said, his voice low and cautious. "Hey," she replied, the word lingering heavy in the air between them, binding their past with their complicated present. "What can I say? I'm sorry about everything." There was a sincerity in his eyes that flickered like a candle struggling to stay lit, and Emma felt her armor begin to crack just a little. "All right, let us talk," she finally said, guiding him inside. As they sat together on the attic floor, surrounded by the vibrant chaos of crayons and the whispers of old letters, Emma grappled with the chance to rebuild what had fallen apart. She looked at Jason, then at Ben and Sarah, who were blissfully unaware of the storm that had just begun to churn in the living room. Would they be able to create something new from the remnants of their past? "What do you want to start with?" Emma asked, her voice steady despite the pounding of her heart. He paused, searching for the right words. "I want to talk about Mom. And about us. I want to start making things right if you'll let me." As she listened, the attic felt alive, as if the letters had come to life with their stories again, urging them to embrace the unknown. In that moment, with the weight of possibilities hanging in the air, Emma understood that the Real journey was just beginning. What other secrets would the family letters reveal about their shared history? How could Jason's honesty reshape everything they once knew? Tomorrow promised answers, but today had already sparked the beginning of something transformative. Emma took a deep breath, the moment heavy with anticipation. Jason shifted slightly, his fingers nervously tracing the outline of a letter. The warmth of the attic, filled with crayon laughter and colorful drawings, felt in stark contrast to the cool tension between them. "About Mom," he started, his voice faltering. For a moment, Emma could see the memories flickering behind his eyes. "I've been thinking a lot about the choices I made. I never meant to hurt you or the kids." He swallowed hard. I wanted to say I'm sorry." The word hung in the air, simple yet weighted. Emma's heart sank. The hurt was still raw, but she could also see a glimmer of hope in Jason's eyes. "I don't know if that's enough," she said softly. "Sorry, one change what happened." "I know," he replied, his voice barely above a whisper. "I don't expect it to, but I want you to know that I want to be part of your lives again. I want to know my niece and nephew the way I should have from the start." Ben and Sarah, oblivious to the gravity of the conversation, had moved on to a bright orange sun painted on the floor. Their laughter cut through the tension, a reminder of joyful innocence that Emma wanted to protect. A pang of sadness washed over her. "It's not that easy, Jason. I can't just forget everything, and neither can the kids." He nodded, his expression earnest. "I realize that. I really do. But what if we start small? What if I take the kids for ice cream one day? Just let me show you I'm trying." Emma's heart raced at the thought. "You really want to spend time with them?" "More than anything," he said, a smile breaking through the somber. "They deserve to know their uncle, and I deserve a chance to be better." She hesitated. Could she bridge the gap between the past and present? The memory of what Jason had chosen over family loomed large in her mind. Yet here he was asking for a chance, ready to put in the effort. A mixture of hope and fear sloshed around in her chest. "All right," she finally said, her voice trembling just a little. "But I need to be clear. This isn't just about you. It's about rebuilding trust. It's about the kids. What if they don't want to see me?" Jason asked, a flicker of doubt clouding his gaze. Emma shook her head, her brow furrowed. They might be nervous, but they love you if you give them a reason to. You'll need to earn their trust too, Jason. Kids are smart. They sense something real. Then I'm all in, he said, determination renewing his features. I'll do whatever it takes. The attic felt different now. The laughter of Ben and Sarah wrapped around them like a warm blanket, creating a fragile but growing bond. Emma looked at Jason, searching for any hint of insincerity. All she saw was a man willing to fight for a family he almost lost. With a tentative smile, she whispered, "Then let us make this work." One step at a time, they shared a moment of understanding, a flicker of connection that hinted at what could be. As the laughter of the kids grew louder, Emma felt the shadows of the past begin to lift just a bit. But behind the flickering light, doubt still lingered. How would the kids react to their uncle? Would Jason be able to follow through on his promises? And could Emma truly let down her guard enough to trust him again? As the sun dipped below the horizon, the attic filled with the sounds of crayon scrawls and joyful shouts. Emma knew this was just the beginning. But deep down, she was terrified of what lay ahead. Tomorrow would bring Jason's first step into their world, and with it, every emotion she had tried to keep at bay would burst forth. Could they truly rebuild something that felt so fragile? Would they discover the unity that had been lost? Tomorrow, an adventure awaited, but it felt like a leap into the unknown. The next morning, sunlight filtered through the curtains, dancing across the attic floor. Emma woke up with a swirl of anticipation and anxiety tingling in her stomach. Today was the day Jason would meet Ben and Sarah for ice cream. She quietly dressed and slipped into the kitchen, trying to find some normalcy while her heart raced with uncertainty. "Breakfast is ready," she called out, her voice steady despite the chaos of emotions churning inside her. Ben ran in first, his bedhead a wild mess, followed by Sarah, who was still rubbing sleep from her eyes as they munched on toast. Questions shimmered like sparks in Emma's mind. Would Jason live up to his promise? Could he transform from what he once was into the uncle they deserved? After breakfast, she sensed tension building like a storm. "Okay, kids," she said with a smile that felt more strained than genuine. "Today is special. You're going to spend time with Uncle Jason." Ben's eyes widened with excitement, while Sarah's expression turned uncertain. "What if he doesn't tea like us?" she asked quietly, her small hands twisting a napkin in her lap. Emma knelt beside her, brushing a stray hair behind Sarah's ear. "He will. He's really trying to be part of our lives again. You'll see." A knock on the door jolted Emma, and she took a deep breath, glancing at the kids, who were instinctively drawn closer to her. With each step toward the door, her heart thundered. Would Jason's eagerness remain intact? She opened the door to find him standing there, a little nervous but with a wide smile that crinkled the corners of his eyes. "Hey," he greeted, his voice bright, despite her own nerves. "Ready for some ice cream?" The kids exchanged glances, their excitement battling uncertainty. "Yep," Ben shouted, rushing past Emma and nearly knocking into Jason. Sarah followed slowly, looking up at her uncle with a combination of hope and hesitation. "Hey there, Sarah." Jason crouched down to her level, his warmth breaking through the awkwardness. "I brought you a little something." He pulled out a bright pink ice cream cone from behind his back, topped with sprinkles. Her eyes sparkled, and the ice cream was a welcome distraction. "Thanks, Uncle Jason," she giggled, and Emma felt a small crack in her own walls as she watched their interaction. Once they were on the road, Emma settled into the passenger seat while the kids sat in the back, chatting excitedly with Jason. He drove with a mix of focus and delight, easily engaging Ben with stories from his own childhood. Emma stole glances at Jason, admiring how effortlessly he connected just a hint of the brother she once knew. But as they reached the ice cream shop, Emma's heart sank. What if the friendly facade crumbled? As they walked inside, the bright colors and clamor of laughter surrounded them. She directed the kids to the counter, hoping this joyful chaos would ease the tension. Jason leaned down to whisper something in Ben's ear, making him erupt in laughter. It felt hopeful, yet Emma's chest tightened. Tonight would mean everything for both the kids and Jason. A few moments later, with ice cream in hand, They all settled at a small table outside. "What flavors did you get?" Jason asked, eyeing Sarah's bright pink cone. "Cotton candy," she replied proudly, her previous doubts dissolving with each lick. Part of Emma wanted to join in, but instead, she watched as Jason worked to bridge the gap. Yet her mind spiraled with a new concern. What if this moment was just a facade? What if Jason eventually faltered, leaving the kids with more disappointment? "Everything okay?" Jason's voice broke through her thoughts. She nodded, though it felt like a lie. The truth was, her heart was battling trust and caution, excitement and fear. Would these connections hold? Or would the echoes of Jason's past disrupt their fragile family? As laughter blended with the sounds of the busy street, Emma's breath hitched. She glanced at the kids' pure joy lighting their faces, as Jason shared an amusing anecdote about getting lost on a family trip to the beach. A new part of her wanted, desperately, to believe, to suspend reality for a moment and just enjoy the laughter. But a flicker of doubt lingered. As she joined in the laughter, she couldn't shake the feeling that tomorrow might bring a truth even more profound than today. Would this fragile bond last, or would it shatter when faced with reality? Emma felt the weight of the question heavy in the air, waiting for an answer as they embraced the moment. As they savored their ice cream, the sunlight began to dip lower in the sky, casting a golden hue over the ice cream shop's outdoor patio. Laughter flowed easily now, filling the air with warmth, but Emma couldn't shake the gnawing worry in her stomach. It was like a cloud hovering over a sunny day. Jason was animated, recounting his favorite childhood games with a flourish that captivated Ben. "And then, I ran right into the ocean, thinking it was just a giant puddle," he exclaimed, his hands mimicking splashes. Ben howled with laughter, his eyes sparkling with admiration. But Sarah remained quieter, her pink cone slowly melting as she stole glances at Emma. "Is Uncle Jason going to stay with us for a long time?" she asked, her voice barely above a whisper, tinged with the innocence of hope and fear. Emma's heart tightened. It was a question she had asked herself endlessly. "Mommy, is he?" Sarah pressed further, her small face etched with uncertainty. Jason, catching the shift in atmosphere, turned his attention to Sarah. "Hey, how about I take you two to the beach this weekend? We can build the biggest sandcastle ever." His excitement was contagious, yet Emma felt a heaviness seeing her daughter's eyes search for reassurance. "That sounds amazing, Uncle Jason," Ben shouted, barely able to contain his enthusiasm. Emma tried to smile, but her mind raced with conflicting thoughts. Would Jason be able to sustain this newfound enthusiasm? It felt precarious, like a beautiful decoration on a crumbling foundation. Could he really commit to being there, for the long haul? As if sensing her turmoil, Jason caught her gaze, his expression shifting slightly. "Hey," he said softly, "I know I've messed up in the past. I want to make it right. For both of you." The sincerity in his voice caused Emma's heart to flutter and clash. A reminder of the brother she loved before life had fractured everything. "Then let us do it," Emma found herself saying, her voice brave yet tremulous. "Let us build those sandcastles together." The kids cheered, and for a moment, a warmth enveloped her, almost blinding her to the shadows lurking just out of view. Jason beamed, and there was a glimpse of a man determined to be better. But as joy pulsed through her family, Emma couldn't ignore the doubts echoing in her mind. What if Jason's presence now only led to more heartache later? She wanted to believe him, to trust him, yet the whispers of the past lingered like a ghost. The battle between hope and fear danced in her chest as they finished their ice cream. Emma caught sight of Jason leaning closer to the kids, coaxing them into a silly competition over who could make the best ice cream cone creation. The laughter erupted, bouncing off the walls of the ice cream shop, a beautiful image of family. Yet every giggle felt like a question hanging in the air. The sun dipped lower, painting long shadows beside their table. Emma knew this moment could slip away, just as easily as it came. "Can we always have ice cream together?" Ben asked, his voice tinged with childish earnestness. "Of course," Jason replied, his smile brighter than the sunset. He looked over at Emma, the weight of their shared past brushed aside for a moment. But would that light endure? As they walked to the car, Emma couldn't shake her unease. She wanted everything to work out, but the fear of past patterns creeping back threatened to drown her optimism. When they reached the car, a sudden commotion drew Emma's attention. A couple nearby was having a heated argument, their voices raised in a way that felt intrusive and unsettling. The stark contrast pulled Emma back to reality, reminding her of the unpredictability of life, even amidst joy. "Mom?" Sarah's small voice broke through her thoughts, and she turned to meet her daughter's curious gaze, wondering just how fragile happiness could be. As they piled into the car, a solemn feeling lingered in Emma's heart. Were they really on the verge of healing? Or would this blissful moment shatter like glass in a storm? With the sun setting behind them, Emma fastened her seatbelt, her thoughts swirling as they headed down the road. The question hung in the air, leaving Emma to search Jason's face for answers. Could their family truly mend? Or had they merely scratched the surface? Driving down the familiar road, Emma felt suffocated by the weight of silence. The soft click of the turn signal mingled with the low hum of the engine, but the noise did little to penetrate her thoughts. Ben and Sarah were unusually quiet in the back seat, their excitement dimmed by her own unease. She kept glancing at Jason, who was lost in contemplation, perhaps mired in his own insecurity as they approached the familiar bend. Where tall trees lined the road, Emma felt the twinge of nostalgia. Memories of family outings burst through, each more radiant than the last. But that warmth was dampened by the heavy awareness of their current situation. It had only been a few hours, and yet the air felt different. "Maybe we should grab some dinner," Emma suggested, breaking the heavy silence. It felt like a pacifier for her own racing heart as she drove. "How about that new Mexican place on Maple?" The words felt foreign, as if she were grasping at straws, trying to pull everyone back into safety. "Yes, tacos," Ben shouted, his joy acting like a balm to Emma's frayed nerves. Sarah perked up, a tiny smile tracing her lips. Jason nodded along, clearly relieved that they weren't dwelling in conversations about the past. As they parked, the vibrant neon sign of the restaurant welcomed them, buzzing against the twilight sky. Emma led the kids inside, the restaurant's decor bursting with colors and festive music, a stark contrast to the cacophony she had just witnessed outside the ice cream shop. Seated at a table decorated with bright papal picado, Emma tried to engage in the happy banter exchanged between Ben and Jason. But each laugh and shared burrito felt like a stitch pulled tight on a fabric still unraveling. What was she so afraid of? They seemed happy. "Sarah, why don't you tell Uncle Jason about your favorite book?" Emma encouraged, desperate for a glimpse of her daughter's excitement to overshadow the gnawing anxiety. Sarah beamed, her fingers wrapping around a curious menu. "It's about a princess who wants to be a knight." Jason leaned in, clearly engrossed. "That sounds amazing. I love stories about knights. Does she save the kingdom?" "Yes. And she wears armor." Sarah's enthusiasm grew as she animatedly spoke. Emma watched the exchange, her heart warming for her children. For now, the worry peeled away like the layers of an onion. Maybe this was how healing began, small moments that brought laughter. Jason chimed in, "It's brave to want to be something different, just like your mom." His words surprised Emma, warming her from the inside, a reminder of the bond they once shared, buried in the darkness of their struggles. But as the meal progressed, a shadow hung in the back of her mind. What if Jason's enthusiasm was short-lived? The strength to change seemed like an endless mountain. Would he falter halfway up? "So, have you thought about our beach trip?" Jason asked, his eyes bright and sincere. "I can teach you both how to catch a wave." Emma's heart skipped, yet doubt gnawed at the edges of her joy. Would he still be excited when reality set in? When the kids needed him to be more than just a fun uncle? As they finished their meal, Emma felt a sudden pang of longing. The warmth of the family, they could be swirled around her like the spicy aroma of nachos. But would the safety last? "Are we ready to go?" she asked, disrupting the hopeful moment and pulling them back into the reality of her concerns. "Already?" Ben pouted, a tiny frown on his face. "Just one more adventure." Jason chimed, standing up with a playful grin. How about ice cream again? Before she could consider the implications of her agreement, Ben bounced up and down, eager and full of energy. Sarah rejoiced as they left the restaurant, and Emma felt a glimmer of hope twinkling in her chest. But deep inside, a question loomed like an unanswered riddle. Could ice cream fix what lay beneath? As they stepped back into the cold evening air, Emma's phone buzzed in her pocket. She pulled it out, and her heart sank a message from an unknown number. We need to talk about Jason. In that moment, all her hopes and doubts collided, urging her to face a truth she wasn't sure she was ready for. Emma's fingers trembled as she stared at the message on her phone. The world around her faded, and the sounds of laughter from Ben and Sarah drifted away like whispers in a crowded room. How could someone so anonymous hold such leverage over her life? Mom? Ben waved a hand in front of her, his innocent brow furrowed in concern. Are you okay? She blinked, her heart racing as she forced a smile. Yeah. Just a little tired. Let us get that ice cream. The words were light, but the burden on her chest felt anything but. They crossed the street to an ice cream stand, the colors bright and inviting. Emma watched the kids, their joy pulsing like a heartbeat, vibrant and pure. She wished she could let it fill her, but the message loomed large in her thoughts. Jason was already perusing the flavors, playfully bumping shoulders with Ben. It brought a flicker of warmth to Emma's heart, but doubt wrestled with it. Could he be the uncle they all deserved? Or would he disappoint them as he had time and again? 2 scoops of mint chocolate chip. Please, Sarah chirped, her eyes gleaming with delight as the vendor handed her the cone. Good choice, Jason replied, mirroring her enthusiasm as he pointed to the rainbow sprinkles. Emma chose a simple vanilla, watching her family indulge as they scooped their treats. For a moment, everything felt normal. But underneath, her inner dialogue raged on, questioning if he was the right fit. Stepping aside, she took a deep breath, trying to push away the looming shadows. Hey, you guys sit down. I'll grab a napkin. She needed a moment, a chance to sort through the turmoil before it spilled over as Emma turned. Her phone buzzed again. Another message. She opened it hesitantly, her heart plummeting a bit farther with each word she read. You can't protect him forever. He needs to face the truth. Each word felt like a jab, pushing Emma deeper into dread. The thought of confronting Jason, the possibility of painful truths surfacing, twisted her stomach in a knot. What was this truth? What lie had she been living? When she returned to the table, the kids were deep in a discussion about the best ice cream flavor. Mom, which is the best? Ben asked, waving a sticky hand in front of her. I think vanilla is classic, Emma replied, forcing a smile and trying to push her internal panic aside. That is boring, Ben retorted, shaking his head furiously as he lifted his cone. But I love marshmallow too. It's fun. Emma chuckled, caught in their innocent world, even if her own felt like it was fraying at the seams. Jason watched her with a flicker of concern in his eyes. Are you sure you're all right? She wanted to scream that she wasn't, that everything felt shaky and uncertain, a house of cards poised to collapse. But instead, she shrugged, using humor as her shield, just reflecting on the deep meanings of ice cream flavors. Jason chuckled, but the concern didn't leave his face. She could feel him challenge the walls she built, and it both irritated and comforted her as they finished their ice cream. Emma felt an unshakable urge to confront the uncertainty she faced. She couldn't let Ben and Sarah grow up in a cloud of half-truths. They deserved clarity, even if it meant facing uncomfortable conversations. Jason, she began, her voice steadying as she searched for the right words. We need to talk. Before she could continue, her phone buzzed again. This time, Emma hesitated, glancing at the screen. Another message. A chill ran through her. Come home. You'll understand soon enough. Her heart pounded fiercely in her chest as she realized there was no escaping. This needed to be faced, and now more than ever, she understood that the path to their family unity didn't involve hiding from the past. With one last look at her children, light and unburdened, She knew it was time to gather the strength required for the conversation that would change everything. The question loomed larger than ever: was she ready? And could their family truly handle the truth? With a deep breath, Emma turned back to Jason, the air around them thick with anticipation. Would he be willing to fight for the family they could still become? Emma inhaled deeply, the sweet scent of ice cream mixing with her growing anxiety as she steadied herself. Jason was looking at her, eyebrows knit with concern, the laughter of the kids fading into the background. It was time to pull back the curtain on the shadows she had been trying to hide from Jason, from her children, and from herself. Jason. She started again, her voice steady but her insides churning. I've been getting some strange messages and it makes me feel like I'm standing on shaky ground. His brow furrowed further, a mixture of confusion and concern coloring his face. What kind of messages? He asked, leaning closer. She glanced over at Ben and Sarah, who were crouched down, drawing abstract shapes in the gravel with their ice cream cones. Their innocence tugged at her heart. It's about the past, about you and me. Someone is threatening to bring things to light that I thought we could move past. His expression shifted from concern to an intensity that caught her off guard. What are you talking about? Emma, you know we can face this together. Just tell me what it is. She swallowed hard. The weight of the moment was heavy as she looked into his eyes, searching for assurance. The truth felt like a rock in her throat. It's about the reasons we drifted apart. The reasons I've been so apprehensive. Okay, Jason said softly, his voice even. I'm here. You can share anything with me. Taking a breath, she pulled out her phone, ready to show him the ominous messages she had received. But just then, Ben ran up to her, arms wide open. Mom, look. His messy hands were covered in colors from the melted ice cream, but his face was lit up with pure joy. I made art. Laughter bubbled up from her gut, momentarily pushing her worry aside. That's beautiful, buddy. She bent down to admire his creation, the chaos of colors swirling into shapes only a child could conjure. See? Ice cream brings out the artist in you, Sarah added, joining her brother with a messy cone in hand, grinning widely. But then the laughter faded, replaced by the echoing silence of Emma's thoughts. The nagging fears returned, like dark clouds rolling in. But what if I let them down? She whispered more to herself than anyone else. Mom? Ben's voice broke through her reverie. Are you sad again? No, I'm just thinking, she replied, ruffling his hair, desperate for positivity to shine through her doubts. You guys are my sunshine. Jason remained still, watching her closely, clearly waiting for the right moment to press for answers again. The tension hung between them like a tightrope, and she felt an overwhelming urge to push him away. Then her phone buzzed once more, and this time, it vibrated persistently in her pocket. She hesitated but ultimately decided to check it. Another message. Her heart dropped. You can't hide forever. I will be there soon. Her mind quickened. What if it isn't just about me? She thought. What if whatever is coming could hurt them, too? Jason. This she started. But the words tangled in her throat. He stepped forward, placing a steady hand on her shoulder. Talk to me, Emma. We can handle this together. But could they? The emotional weight pressed down harder, making her feel small. The stakes felt higher, and for the first time since they had started to rebuild, trepidation crept in as their eyes locked again. Uncertainty danced between them. Emma knew they were standing at a precipice, and just as she felt she might tumble over, she glanced back at her kids. Their laughter rang out with an innocence that reminded her why embracing the truth was worth any risk. Jason's grip on her shoulder squeezed lightly, grounding her amidst the swirling storm. We can face whatever's coming, I promise. Can we? She echoed, her voice cracking. Before he could respond, the ice cream stand began to close, and the day's magic was quickly fading. She realized they were fast running out of time, not just for ice cream, but for honesty, for facing the truths they had been avoiding. Let us go home, she said finally, her heart racing at the thought of whatever awaited them. She turned to Jason, steeling herself. We need to have a serious talk tonight. His expression hardened, and there was a flicker of realization. Okay, he acknowledged determination in his eyes. We'll figure it out. Together. But deep inside, Emma feared the words she would have to unravel and the chaos that would surely follow. As they walked towards the car, shadows cast by streetlights stretched long behind them, a tangible marker of what lay ahead. Would the truth they faced bring them closer together, or would it tear them further apart? Each footstep echoed a deeper question: how much was she willing to risk for the sake of family? The evening light painted the world in warm hues of gold and orange as Emma drove home, her mind racing with everything that lay ahead. The laughter from the rearview mirror echoed in the air, but the uncertainty twisted like a tight knot in her stomach. Jason, seated beside her, seemed lost in thought, and Emma wanted nothing more than to break through the silence surrounding them. They arrived home, the house still and quiet. The air was thick with anticipation, a storm brewing just beyond the surface. The kids scampered inside, their little feet scattering as they chased each other, innocent and unburdened, like rays of sunshine in a darkening world. Emma paused, watching them for a moment, desperately wishing she could shield them from any hurt, from a reality that felt all too heavy. "Let us gather in the living room," she said, her voice steadying with resolve. As they settled onto the couch, warmth surrounded them, yet Emma felt a chilling uncertainty prick at her. She could see the slight tension in Jason's shoulders, and she knew his smile was a mask, hiding the man who carried a past filled with regrets. "Okay, I've been thinking," she began, her heart pounding in her chest, "about family, what it means, how fractured ours has become." The words hung in the air, weighted with the truth. "I've received messages that make me worry about the past creeping back into our lives." Jason's expression turned serious. "What do you mean? Let me see those messages." Emma hesitated, pulling out her phone. Trepidation washed over her, each word contained in the screen reflecting her fears. "They're anonymous. Someone believes I'm trying to protect you, but I don't know what they're trying to expose." She relayed the chilling words, the shadows of threats lingering behind every letter, as the room felt constricted by anxious breaths. Jason was taken aback, eyes widening. "What? Why didn't you tell me sooner?" His voice was low but filled with urgency. "Because I didn't know how. I didn't know if you had truly changed. I didn't want to confront the past only to find that we were rebuilding a house with a shaky foundation," Emma said, struggling to maintain her composure. The honesty pierced her heart, but the truth could mend or break. "I get that," he replied, his voice steady yet laced with vulnerability. "But I'm here. I want to fight for this family. For us." The children's laughter bubbled up again from the hallway, reminding Emma of everything worth saving. "But we've come so far in these last few days," she pressed, the walls threatening to close in. "What if these messages are just the beginning of something worse?" Jason's gaze softened. "Then let us face it together. I don't want to be your past anymore, Em. I want to be part of a future full of laughter, ice cream, and messy art sessions. You think this will just go away? It's not that easy." Emma felt the weight of desperation seep through, tears threatening to breach. "What if what's thrown at us hurts the kids? I can't let them down again. Every moment we let fear guide us is a moment we lose," Jason said firmly, emotion filling his voice. "I will prove to you that I can be the brother, the uncle, the family that you and the kids need. Trust me." The silence hung thick in the air. Emma felt the pull of Jason's sincerity, battling against her cautious heart. Could she really dare to look forward? Was it time to believe that someone could reform? Ben and Sarah emerged in the doorway, their bright faces a reminder of what mattered most. "Are we having ice cream again?" Ben shouted with glee, as if sensing the heaviness of the air and wanting to lighten the mood. Emma chuckled softly, just a hint of her smile breaking through. "Not right now, buddy. We're having some serious talks first. But maybe after." "Okay," he replied, unfazed, and Sarah nodded enthusiastically, bouncing on her little feet. Watching them, a flicker of hope ignited inside Emma's chest. Maybe the path would not be easy, but facing their truth today could lay the foundation for a stronger tomorrow. All right, let us figure this out, she said, her voice growing steadier as she looked at Jason. Let us make a commitment. We can handle the past together. Jason nodded, a determined smile breaking across his face. They took a moment to breathe, grounding themselves within their family's loving presence. Tomorrow brings more challenges, but today is ours, he said. And just like that, amid the chaos of ice cream and joy, Emma understood. Family meant vulnerability. It meant stepping into the unknown, no matter how shaky the ground felt. Held firmly by the love of Ben, Sarah, and Jason, she took a deep breath and whispered, "Yes, let us build something beautiful." As they gathered close, Emma felt wrapped in warmth. This was the moment she'd fought for, the day they all began to rise from the shadows of what once was into a bright horizon filled with hope. With fresh resolve igniting their hearts, they were ready to write the next chapter as one united front. Now is the time to be part of our journey. Be sure to subscribe immediately to the channel so you don't miss out on the heartwarming stories to come. Your like counts. We need your support to fuel our flame. Comment below with your thoughts and feelings about today's transformation. And don't wait not even one more second to share this video with at least 5 friends who need to see this incredible story of family unity. Your actions matter. True fans understand the importance of sharing and supporting the channel. Let us spread love together.